Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Mike Condon. I have the pleasure of being our Vice President of Franchise Development here at HomeWell. And as you can see on the screen, we have Treg, Taylor, and Jack, our development directors, are joining us as well today. This is always our most exciting webinar we do on our Friday series rotation, is always having one of our great franchisees on to talk about the good, the challenges, the ups, the downs, and everything in between with running a business. And, as you hear us say a lot, business ownership, it isn't for everybody. So, during our call today, we really want to uncover a little bit about what Cheryl has done to be successful in her early days here as a business owner with HomeWell. We'll go into a lot of those questions today, and just excited to have a great conversation with you, Cheryl. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
You'll hear through our conversation, Cheryl is probably one of the best personalities we have here at HomeWell, and I don't say that lightly. We have a lot of great franchisees, but ever since I got introduced to her a while ago, as she was going through the process of learning about HomeWell, her and her husband Tim, they have been pleasures to work with, and excited to see their success early on here with their agency in Oklahoma City. So, and real quick, any housekeeping things? If you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A chat box. We'll be monitoring that as we go along, and we can have Cheryl answer those as well. If anything gets missed or anything specific on your mind. But, as we kind of just jump in here a little bit, Cheryl, let's start. I always like to start from the beginning. You're a former school teacher, retired school teacher, spent a lot of time in that world. What kind of got your brain thinking about, hey, I think now is the time to start a business? And specifically, what kind of attracted you to a business like this?
So after COVID, I decided that retirement was in my future from the school system. And I was retired for about 4 years. And then I was like, probably retirement is it's not suiting me. So I just started looking into different franchises, and HomeWell just really stood out to me. So I started talking to people at HomeWell. And after talking to everyone and the personalities of like Mike and Samantha and Treg and all the ones that I talked to, just really, I just knew HomeWell was my home. I just knew that HomeWell was for me, and I have not been disappointed one bit. I would do it all over again if I had to. I think I told you that, but it's just been a great experience for me.
So why home care though? Let's dive into the why.
Oh, okay.
You're great. So one of the things we always love to learn from candidates is, you want to build a business, you want to be successful. I think that's, everybody looks at a business model and says, those are the things we want. But in home care, it takes on a new meaning because you're helping people. So, what's the reason kind of you decided on the home care space specifically for building a business?
Right. So when I was in high school, I was actually a CNA. And I've always been interested in the health field. And then after I retired, my dad became ill. So I started helping my mom. They were in another state. So I helped my mom with his care. And then my father-in-law had Alzheimer's, and, just kind of saw the in-home care that he was receiving. And it just interested me. And so I just knew that home care was the avenue that I wanted to go into. So that's why I kind of went this route. I actually looked at different franchises, but I mean, home care was just the one. I was just drawn to it, basically. Yeah. Like my heart was like, this is where you need to go, So I just basically followed my heart, and it was just a great fit. So
yeah. I love it. Yeah, I think you deal with it every day, but you got to have the passion to do a business like this. And I think that's one of the things we talk about a lot during our education process with candidates is why do you want to be in this? Because we can teach you the business side of it, but you have to have that want and the passion to help people. And so talk a little bit about the transition, mindset wise from, your was were a teacher for a long time. You were helping people and obviously kids in that world, which is not much different than probably running a business, right? Like let's call
Yes.
that. So talk about the transition for you from that to business owner. Like what does that kind of look like for you, both whether it be mentally or otherwise, as you've learned to adopt some of those principles into being a business owner?
Right. Well, I feel like just being a teacher, you were very organized, which I feel like you have to be organized in this business. And then just having, as a teacher, you have different kind of loving skills, I guess you could say. And it really does carry over because our senior adults that we take care of, um, they need that particular type of care. You have to communicate with them on a different level.
Yeah.
It is kind of childlike, actually, so I feel like you have to be organized. You have to go after it. You have to have a goal and go after it. Um, you, Gosh, I don't know. There's just been a lot of things
Yeah.
that I've brought from my teaching into the business.
Yeah.
Um, as a teacher, you have to think of goals and you have to think of things that will get the students into what you're wanting to promote to them or for them to learn. And it's the same thing with the business. Like when I go into a home, I'm like, okay, how am I going to educate this client to understand what I'm trying to sell them, or, not really sell them. That's probably not but how am I going to get them to come along with me?
Yeah.
So you have to think outside the box and you have to meet people where they are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I think we talk a lot about that from just owning a business, right? Because everybody comes into our system with different varying experiences, right? And I think one of our main goals on our education side and platform learning platform side is trying to meet them where they're at. And really
Mm-hmm.
understanding, hey, what skill sets do you need to acquire in order to be successful, and how do we help you do that? And I think to your point, a lot of your skills that you brought from your previous career, they're very applicable to here. You don't have to have a healthcare background. What was
Mm-hmm.
like if you had to pick maybe one or two challenges you had as you kind of have made that transition to the healthcare field? Is there anything that comes to mind that you're like, man, I didn't think about that before going into a business like this, and it's something I had to learn, as applying it to the business itself.
Well, I mean, with me, I've had to learn a lot,
Mhm.
honestly, but it wasn't something that I couldn't learn, or it wasn't common sense, really. I just had to figure out how to apply it and make
Yeah.
it work for my situation or for where I'm at. But there's not one thing that has stood out to me that was there's been lots of challenges, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you guys, like the my FBC, the onboarding, everybody has been there to guide you along. And Learning Lab, I love Learning Lab. So if I have a situation that I'm like, oh, I'll go to Learning Lab and kind of see what's on there and read about it and do some of the modules. So but yeah, there's challenges, but I
Mhm.
just feel like you have a backing. It's not like you're thrown in out to the wolves or anything like
Yeah.
that. You have
Yeah.
backing. Like my FBC is wonderful.
Yeah.
Onboarding was wonderful. So
Yeah.
um there are
Yeah.
challenges, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but you have to face them
Yeah.
and come up with a plan,
Yeah.
so
So let's dive into you said the learning lab a few times. I think it's a huge tool that we have for our owners. We use it on the corporate side, right? I think it's a great learning tool for everybody involved in home care. Um, the learning lab, for those of you may not know, is a platform that we have that when you go through our onboarding is where we do all of our trainings. It's a on-demand course site that you take a bunch of trainings through. We do live trainings through it. It's a wonderful platform that has, I mean, I think 300 different courses in it that you have access to do for different parts of your business. So how how do you use the learning lab? Obviously, when you go through training, you had to take a bunch of modules. I think that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
self-explanatory. But in today's environment, you've mentioned you use it when you want to look up information. How do you apply that with your team as well? Because I think that's a huge aspect of the learning lab that we don't talk enough about.
Right. So there's learning modules for your case managers. And we have to, in the state of Oklahoma, we have to use our case manager. And she's an RN and we have to have RN. So there's case management modules. So she goes over those. And then our marketing and sales, there's wonderful modules about that, about the
Yeah.
sales and marketing. So we actually, and then we also, the scheduler uses it. I mean, it's
Yep.
just a great tool because sometimes I don't have time to just sit down and, like go over. If they have a question, I try my best, but
Mhm.
sometimes I don't have the time. So they can go to the Learning Lab modules, and most of them are short videos
Yeah.
and learning tools. So it's fairly quick and it basically tells you how to, it answers their questions.
Yeah, it's such a great tool. I think you hit it right on the head. It's a tool for you to use as an owner to help learning and continuing education move on without you having to sit there. Because as a
Mm-hmm.
business owner, you're doing a lot during the day, right? You're pulled in a lot of different directions, and sometimes you just don't have the time to sit there and sit with a scheduler and go over a problem or a question they have. And the Learning Lab allows you as an extension of your knowledge, even
Mm-hmm.
on top of your knowledge in some cases, especially as you're new, right? So I think that's a great example of how applicable a tool like that can be to help you grow and scale your business without taking the time and attention away from running and executing the business on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we kind of talked about yesterday a little bit, and I'd love to dive into that. We get a lot of questions around caregivers. Um, we all know they're a very vital piece of our business, and I'd love to have you share your thoughts on just what are your thoughts on caregivers? How do you treat them? Why are they important to your business? And what do you do to make sure they feel like they're a part of a bigger organization and they feel like they're really taken care of from your as an owner of the business? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot in there, Cheryl. So feel free to jump in wherever
Yes.
it makes sense for you.
Okay. And if I miss something, please be
You're
like,
good.
okay, talk about this. So I was telling Mike yesterday that the caregivers are very important to me. I was a CNA, so I totally get where they're coming from. And they're overly worked a lot of times and they don't, they just don't get the recognition or the pay that they deserve. So when we opened, I wanted to take care of my caregivers. So we actually paid more for our caregivers per hour than some of my competitors because they're worth it. And when you pay more, you're going to get more. So, our caregivers know they can always call here. They can always stop by the office. And we also do a profit sharing. So at the end of our fiscal year, we will, whatever the company makes, we will share that a portion of the earnings with our caregivers. I mean, there are stipulations like they have to work a certain number of hours, and have been with us for a certain amount of time, but they will get profit sharing, which they're just like, what? Really? I mean, because that's not something that a lot of people offer. And then another thing, like we had a really bad snowstorm this past week, and just paying our like the caregivers that went out in the snow and the ice and everything, I called them. I was like, hey, you're going to get a bonus for this. And honestly, I mean, to me, I was going to pay them $22 an hour. And they just thought, oh my, you're kidding. I mean, just the small things like that make
Yeah.
it just speaks volume. It speaks
Yeah.
volume for who you are, and it just speaks volumes for your company. Well, when you do those types of things, those caregivers want to work for you. They want to
Yeah.
work hard for you, and then they tell their friends. They're like, this is what my, because they all talk amongst each other. And so then you get the friends who want to come to work for you, and you're
Yeah.
getting quality caregivers that way. We opened in July, and it's taken us about 6 months to get, we have about 15 or 20 excellent caregivers now. And it's just the little things that have,
Yeah.
they just want to keep working for you. And a lot of the caregivers, you will find out they want to make you happy. They're people
Yeah.
pleasers. They just have that personality of wanting somebody to need them and just to, celebrate them. So when you do
Yeah.
the small things, it really does make a big difference.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think we talk a lot about, there's different tips and tricks and 90-day retention plans, and that's all
Hmm.
a part of it. You have to do some of those things. But I think Cheryl, you said it so nicely. It's just taking care of people and letting them know they're important to you, they're important to your organization, and that you care. And that's something that, while giving them a bonus and paying them a little extra is nice, even, to
Hmm.
your point, just picking up the phone and saying thank you for doing that really means a lot to me.
It
is
does.
is that's this business, right? It's such a personalized business that money can't replace that. It just can't. And
No,
those little touches are something that are very key to growing a great caregiver base.
it
Would you
is.
agree? Yeah.
I would totally agree. And so I will randomly call a caregiver just to say hi or just to say thank you for being an excellent caregiver. And they're like, why are you calling? Like they'll
Yeah.
answer and I'm like, hi, this is Cheryl from HomeWell. And they're like, why are you calling? Am I in trouble? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I am calling to let you know that you are an excellent caregiver. And I appreciate you. And we're so thankful you're a part of our team. And they're like, really? And I
Yeah.
mean, it is, and for the owner to call them, oh my gosh, I mean, it just speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and they, like I said earlier, they want to work for you. They want to
Yeah.
do their best, and they pick up
Yeah.
shifts at the last minute because
Yeah.
they want to make you happy.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's those little things, like I said, and it doesn't take much of your time, a couple minutes to say thank you. But it builds volume when you do it a lot and you do it to the right people and they want to work for you, to your point. So let's talk a little about, listen, there's, like you had said a few times, there's challenges in every business model. This one's no different.
Mm-hmm.
As you've learned, what are some of the challenges you've encountered, and how have you kind of overcome those? Whether it be through the help of you mentioned your FBC, which is our franchise business coach, a lot. They're there right by your side. I know Randall, you guys talk a lot, which is exactly the point. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the challenges you've encountered, and how have you overcome those?
Ooh, I don't
I know
know.
it's a big pick one or two. Listen, it's a business. We're all going to have challenges. So, what would you say? Like, just pick one that comes to mind.
Well, I mean, I am just in my first year, actually
Mhm.
first 6 months. So, when we have challenges, we work those challenges out. One of my main challenges, even though we have a handful of great caregivers, I would say probably one of my biggest challenges are the caregivers, you
Mhm.
know, and we've kind of got it all worked out now, but at the beginning, the caregivers would no show. They wouldn't
Mhm.
even show up to the shifts. They wouldn't call. And, so now, I mean, we put things in place for that. We have an on call caregiver. So, should I tell what the on call
Yeah.
is? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
So,
Please.
the on call is a caregiver that we trust, we know shows up, we know they answer their phone, and we pay that caregiver. It's minimal. I think it's like
Yeah.
$2.50 an hour just to be on call. So whether they get called out or not, they're still making that, and it's from like 7 in the morning to 7 at night.
Mhm.
It's an expense for us, but it has saved us
Yeah.
because it's better to pay that and send out the on-call caregiver than for a caregiver to no show, not call us. We don't know what's happening, and you lose that client because that's what
Yep.
happened to me. You know,
Yeah.
we lost a client over that.
Yep.
And I mean, those things happen. So that's why we put the caregiver, the on-call caregiver in place.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I would say probably the caregivers are my biggest challenge.
Mhm.
But now, I mean, with putting things in place and just kind of learning the personalities of the caregivers, you kind of learn that right off too.
Yeah.
Like I know this person answers my phone call. I know this person's gonna be a good worker. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
simple things like that. Um, but I'm trying to think of some other things that have
So I think that's a great one to talk about just a little bit more in depth because like, having those, you're going to have challenges, but now the nice thing with joining a franchise is you have some great people around you. And not only from a
mm-hmm.
franchisor and Randall and so the support you get, we have a lot of other owners as well. and
Yes.
and the, to be able to pick up the phone, and call another owner and say, hey, this is the challenge, how do you handle it? What is your interactions like with other owners? Like, how are
Oh,
you talking? I mean, I know you talk to them quite a bit, but
yes.
like, talk a little bit about that for yourself.
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, just becoming, you can call any owner and they are, I try to email them first. Hey, this is what's happening. But I have two owners like on speed dial and
Yeah.
call them all because I know that I can call them and they're going to, they've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yes, call
Yeah.
other owners. I mean,
Yeah.
it's okay to say, I, I don't know what to do, and they're like, okay, we've done that. We've been there. So we know what to do. Do this. And I mean, just calling other owners it has been a lifesaver for me.
Yeah.
Even this ice and storm was a challenge for us because
Yeah.
we couldn't get caregivers to shifts, like what do you do when an ice storm comes, so I
Yeah.
had to reach out to other owners and be like, what do you do? And so,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
you just have
Yeah.
to take your challenges as this is just part of it. We're going to face this. We're going to make changes. We're going to add to. We're going to take
Yep.
away. You just face it, and just know it's just part of the business. It's part of the growing pains
Yep.
because you're growing, so you have to make changes along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a constant evolution. You're going to continue to learn and grow. On the flip side of that, as we kind of wrap up here a little bit, one other kind of question that always comes up that I'd love to talk because you did this extremely well in the beginning was client acquisition. You came out of the gates red hot.
Hmm.
What did you do in order to really go out there and attack your market specifically in order to get that first handful of clients on board?
So what I did is before I even opened, and before we actually even signed anything, I was out in the community. I found all the networking groups that I could go to. I went to ladies' luncheons, just anything. But I did not go out and say, I'm the owner of HomeWell because technically at the beginning
Yeah.
I wasn't, but I just went out and I got to know people and I let them know who I was. So I wanted them to know who I was before they knew me as Cheryl, the owner of HomeWell. So I built relationships with anybody that would build a relationship with me. And then when I opened in July, I was still going to these organizations. And as soon as I opened, I was like, and I introduced myself as Cheryl, the owner of HomeWell. They're all like, what? We know this person. We know this person. So it's just building relationships,
Yeah.
and letting people know, let them get to know you before they get to know you as, Cheryl is the owner of HomeWell,
Yeah.
so we were, gosh, we were just really fortunate, that we were able to, come out of the gate like that. And it was just all relationship, just
Yeah.
build relationships, build trusting relationships, tell
Yeah.
people, be honest with them, and I feel like if you're honest, you build relationships, you're going to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk a lot about what are the differentiators between home care companies, right? And a lot of times it comes down to the execution of that owner. And, when you talk about building relationships and being a vocal leader in your community, listen, that might not fit everybody's, but the goal is you have to be out there. You have to be putting
Mm-hmm.
your agency out there, whether that's you or whether you have somebody designated within your agency to do that. That's what it's about, because they're not going to refer to you if they don't know, like, and trust you. And
Exactly.
that's a really big thing in this industry, and we get that a lot from people, is how do you do that? And it starts from day one. When you decide to, this is the business model for you. It's okay to go out there and talk about it. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that.
Right.
And I think that's what has allowed you to be as successful, along with um, just hard work. I know you talked about it a little bit.
Yes.
You have to be willing to put the work in. This is a business. You're not going to be able, you're not putting money into something and then sitting back and letting it grow. You have to work this. And I know you
Right.
put a lot of hours in to it, because like every business, it's a baby, and the baby needs to be cared for. And as it grows, so do you. And so
Exactly.
just like a lot
Yes.
of energy into young kids when you're teaching them, they need to
Mm-hmm.
learn, and that's the effort you have to put in. So um,
Right.
what would your advice to be to anybody looking at this industry that's saying, how do I know it's for me? Like, what would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them, with me, I knew, like, there was really no question. But you have to be the one to make that decision. I mean, I do your homework. Just talk to people, call the other owners that they give, talk to other owners, talk to, your onboarding special. Just, you have to know that this is what you want to do. I mean, to be successful, I feel like you have to know this is what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as simple and as hard as that. And I think
Yes.
as you guys are out there watching this interview, one of the big things we talk about is, a go through that education process. Let us help you to figure out if this is right for you or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because at the end of the day, it might not be, and that's okay. But in a lot of cases, we can walk you through what that looks like. Getting you on the phone with folks like Cheryl and a lot of other great owners, and let them tell you about the day to day, the good, the challenges, and how they're overcoming that using our systems, processes that we have in place to help them build the great businesses in every community. So, Cheryl,
Right.
we're a minute over time. I promised you 30 minutes, and I want to keep that promise. So, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes.
As always, your personality is just as bright as the sun. So, thank you for that.
Thank you.
It is a joy to have you on our team here. For folks out there, if you have any questions, please follow up with our development team here. We'd love to answer any questions that you guys have as you continue the process with us here at HomeWell. So with that, Cheryl, thank you again. I look forward to seeing you
Thank
in a few
you.
months at our conference, and we wish
Yes.
you nothing but the best and continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate
Uh,
it.
you're welcome.
Take
Everybody
care,
have a great
Cheryl.
Friday. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
See ya. Bye.